The layout is finally done. The strings are square, the diagonals match, the posts have stopped migrating around the backyard. Now we dig the footings. Sounds simple. Dig 6 holes. Got it. I can handle it. So you go buy a shovel, but then you learn a shovel isn't enough. And you got to buy a post hole digger. But then you got to buy a digging bar. And at that point, you decide that, you know what, I don't want to spend 2 days digging through North Carolina hard clay. I'm just going to rent a 2-man auger. A fantastic idea, and I wish it was that simple, because it's literally called a 2-man auger. There's 2 of us. Math. So I rent this thing. Now, renting equipment is its own project. You have to drive there, you fill everything out, then you got to load this huge, awkward, bulky, giant machine into a truck. So then you got to get a truck. And then you have to find a friend with a truck that's willing to go load this thing. And you can't, you need to dig a 14-inch diameter hole, but they don't have 14-inch diameter bits. You have to get a 12-inch. Well, you're supposed to start with a pilot hole if you're getting that large of a bit. So then you have to rent a 6-inch pilot hole bit. And then after you dig the 12-inch diameter, you're still going to have to go back and expand that 2 inches. So anyway, you tie it down, you drive it home, you unload it, you figure out how to start it, you figure out which bit actually goes in it and how it goes in it, and suddenly you've burned like half the morning preparing to dig this simple little hole. But now we're ready. So you got 2 grown men standing over this giant gas-powered drill. Fire it up. Beautiful. You've seen this on YouTube. You're thinking, building this deck isn't hard at all. 7 inches. Clank. Boom. You hit a rock. The auger catches. So when a 2-man auger catches, it doesn't politely stop and wait for further instructions. It actually tries to sling the 2 men off the auger into the house. So now we're hanging on to this thing while it attempts to turn us into part of the landscaping. Get it stopped, pull it out, move the rock, start it again. Well, it's already 7 inches into the ground, so unless it has a reverse feature, which ours didn't, then you actually have to manually reverse it and rewind it yourself, so that, and which is not easy. So the 2 of you have to crank out and bring it all the way up 3 or 4 inches, and then you can rip it out the last 2 or 3 inches, and then clank another rock, and then another rock, and then clay. And here's something they don't explain when you rent a 2-man auger. The machine weighs a ton when you are repeatedly lifting it out of a hole full of wet Carolina dirt. So every 12 seconds, up, lift it, clear, back down, dig 6 inches, up, lift it, clear, back down. So by the 3rd hole, you've essentially paid $60 to rent a gasoline-powered low back injury. And you can't just return it whenever you feel like. The clock is running. You only have 4 hours, so now there's pressure, but you've already exceeded your 4 hours, and you've only dug 5 holes because of all the rocks, and because you didn't realize that you couldn't dig too deep, too quickly, or it'll get stuck. So at this point, you feel like you're no longer digging, you're conducting an archaeological excavation. And I'm expecting somebody from the Smithsonian to show up saying, sir, please stop. You've uncovered a settlement from 4000 BC. But the footings, they need to go here. So that's where the post goes, that's where the beam goes, that's where the joist goes. That's what the string said. So you keep digging. And every hole is completely different. Hole number 1, perfect dirt, beautiful cylinder. I'm a professional. Hole number 2, clay. Hole number 3, rocks. Hole number 4, huge rock. Hole number 5, next to the concrete steps. And there's concrete, and the foundation of the concrete is actually 8 inches below the surface. So the auger can't dig down that far. So you got to take your San Angelo digging bar, which you have to go get, and you have to use it like a chisel, unless you want to rent a jackhammer, and you got to chisel through that concrete to hit your magical 12-inch depth that your code